is your first time listening, this is 100% about becoming an independent thinker. Our show, Mind Flux, means to change. Flux means to change, means to flow, and the whole point is to change your mind. And so this week's episode, we have episode 25 with Matt Grybel. I'll have Josh introduce him because, I mean, it just blew my mind. I don't even think I can put it into words. But we had a really interesting episode this week, so we recorded a Zoom, and I was taking notes during the show. And I've actually already applied those notes and already seen things happen. So, Josh, what can they expect?
Yeah, so definitely. Also, J-Man. Bow. Man, messing up. But,
I never introduced you as J-Matt. You introduced yourself.
Yeah, I know. You didn't.
Oh, yeah. It is a little different. It is a little different.
But, yeah, so Matt, man, with Matt, he's a videographer, photographer, just creative director, actually traveling the world to just all the continents pretty much, a bunch of different countries, being the videographer and the content creator for, a very, very, very high level entrepreneur. And most of all, man, Matt's just mind is just like, it's elevated, and the things that he has to talk about is literally like so amazing. And he happened to get to that mindset just by the people he surrounded himself by, getting personally mentored by Bob Proctor, who we mentioned previously before on this podcast. So looking forward to you guys hearing everything he has to say and really take notes, because we talked about some great stuff.
Yeah, we did. So I realized what you're talking about now. As always, we're downtown in Indianapolis and Wave One Radio. Benji's out today. I got the audio set up by myself, and that was like totally terrifying. I thought I was gonna mess it up. Jazline's helping us with the video. I'm your host at T-Farm Teach, and the other half of the show,
J-Man. Bow.
There we go. Now let's jump into the Zoom. Boom, and we are here. Man, I am so excited. We're here with Matt Grybel, correct?
Yes, sir. How are you guys?
Yeah, we're great, man. Your name, I can never know when I'm reading new people's names on how to spell them at all, so it's just way better to double check. But how are you doing today, man?
Good, amazing. Beautiful Sunday, just feeling good. Everything's good.
So with a smile like that, how are you staying so positive like every single day? Because I know you are grinding, and we're gonna.
Okay.
Dude, we're gonna need.
Yeah, just but yeah, how do I stay positive is gratitude for me. I was told this quote, bro. It's called the entire process of mental adjustment and atonement can be summed up in one word: gratitude. So you think about that, the entire process of mental adjustment, I mean, getting back on track, staying positive, feeling good, it goes back to gratitude. So that's like my little key of just how to get right back to feeling good.
Dope. That's amazing. And that sweatshirt's pretty dope. I got to cop one for sure.
Thanks, bro. I'll send them to the studio.
Bet. So just let our people know just like a little bit of your backstory and just let them know like kind of where you come from and what you currently do right now.
Very cool. Yeah, so my name is Matt Grybel. I'm currently 24 years old, and the entrepreneurial journey started for me at 18. I got introduced to network marketing at 18, and network marketing is an awesome industry. I'm not in any company right now, but what network marketing did to me is it exposed me to the information, and it got me around like-minded people. 18 years old, I was in college. I was a college athlete playing college golf, studied graphic design, studied photography and stuff. So I was doing the college degree, way. That was what I was going to go do. I got a hold of this information after I got started in network marketing. 18 years old, I was given The Strangest Secret by Earl Nightingale. And that audio opened the floodgates of personal development for me. I remember I sat there and I was like, is this real? Is there something else to it? Is this spiritual whole situation actually real? And I was 18, ignorance was actually on my side. I didn't know what I didn't know. I was super curious and I wanted to know more. So at 18, or actually at 19, I got hired by Bob Proctor, and now I'm in media, right? I do photo, video, social media, things like that. So he had seen a video that we made, and he flew me to one of his events, was like, all right, come do a video for us. Let's see what's good. Yeah. And that was 19, and I worked with Bob Proctor for 3.5 years, and we did social media, we did videos, we did masterminds, we did all the events and stuff. So I was around super aware, high vibrating people at a very young age. Super fortunate, super blessed. Fast forward 3.5 years now, I've moved on and working with another public figure. His name's Alex Morton. Same situation, very high energy, high vibrating people. And I've been working with him for almost a year now, like 8-9 months now. And we travel all over, help a lot of people, share the information, and full-time entrepreneur, here we are.
Man, that's incredible. And we've mentioned Bob Proctor before. I mean, Bob Proctor played a key role in changing Josh's life. I mean, for sure. And I definitely want you to elaborate on that, because he's one of those people where there's just like a certain generation that really, really knows him. And then there's like a hidden underneath generation of younger people who really, really know, what Bob's all about, because it's just so incredible the way he thinks. He's the best. I mean, just an incredible thinker. Just share some more about Bob. You'd be better off.
Yeah. So for me, I got introduced to Bob at 19 as well. So Darren, he was like one of my first mentors, and like that was the first. I bought his Thinking into Results program. That was the first program I ever bought, like a big investment, the most money I've ever spent on a program. It's crazy. But just that his thinking and his teachings, I still utilize everything to this day. So I know for you, being in that environment, it just completely like shifted everything for you. So kind of explain, like, was it when you first got introduced to that information, was it tough for you to adjust to it, or did you just like fully immerse yourself into it and it just completely changed things for you right away?
It's a great question. That's a great question. The one thing that I think that we as a generation have an advantage over the other is our age. When I went to Bob's events, I mean, I've been to probably 25 to 30 events over 3.5 years. The average age is about 40 to 45 years old. So what that means is there's 30, 40, 50, 60-year-old people who come to these events to try to change paradigms. They've had their paradigms written their whole life. Now they're there to try to change it. Me being 18, 19, you being 19, super young, we don't have that many paradigms to overwrite. So we're actually writing paradigms. So our age is actually an advantage to us because we're not overwriting negative paradigms. We're just writing new paradigms. So it wasn't difficult for me because I didn't know what I didn't know. Everything was fresh. I was super subjective. Everything was possible. And Bob and his team just implemented these awesome affirmations and ideas into me. I accepted them, and now they are who I am today. Like that, those have made me who I am today.
Yeah,
right.
Got you.
And today, I mean, you're traveling all over the world. You have what some people would consider a dream job, but to you, it feels like so much more than that. So what's it feel like on a daily basis to take the thing that you were doing for such an incredibly gifted, thinker, and to be with, another one, and Alex Morton, to be going around sharing that message, but also in that same sense, not only are you getting the growth that like you're delivering to other people, but you're providing the value because your work is literally the vehicle that lets millions of people across the world see what this is doing. So to wake up every day knowing you are directly impacting hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people a day or a month, what does that feel like in a 24-year-old's eyes when you have that much forward thinking? Because as some people, like I said, it's a dream job. They can't even imagine that we're sitting here looking right at it.
Right. Yeah, I had to come to the conclusion really early that I'm different. This whole situation didn't happen by accident. And like my purpose is now sharing this information. Not many people have been able to be blessed and fortunate to do what I've been able to do. So now I'm sitting here like, okay, why me? All the people that could have been doing this, why am I? Younger ones around the information. And it's like, okay, go teach it, go share it, go use your platform, use your voice, influence people. And like you said, changing from, Bob to Alex, it's interesting. Bob actually mentored Alex when Alex was 21, 22, 23 years old. So Alex knows the information. And then, Bob taught me the information. So like Alex and I are kind of like the millennials pushing this information forward. Like you said, there's a generational gap. The older generation knows about them. then there's a gap, and now this young wave of entrepreneurs are learning about him and stuff. So I feel a huge responsibility to share this. And, you know, traveling around the world, information changes situations. You know, people that we've gone to Honduras, we've gone to Panama, we've gone, you know, to places that this information isn't readily accessible. And to take this information there and expose people to it and just give them an opportunity that, yo, is this actually possible? Is there another way? Is this true? Being able to share that physically with people, you know, truly blessed to travel the world and be able to help people like that.
That's awesome. And so for you, because you are on the move a lot, you know, you have to be at a certain level of energy to do what you do and to be around these like high caliber people. Like, what are some like steps that you take to stay high energy and to stay in just like that state of just go mode and high vibrations on a daily basis?
It's a great question. I don't know the answer. I don't know what's in, I don't know what it is, but there is something. There's something that gets me up. There's something that gets me going. I haven't pinpointed what it is yet. Mm-hmm. The one thing I can tell you is the fear of being average motivates me, meaning the idea of observe the masses and do the opposite, see what everybody's doing and do the opposite. That idea was impressed upon me at a super young age, and now I apply it to everything. If the average person wakes up at 8 a.m. in the morning, how much better than average do you want to be? Do you want to be 1 hour before average? Okay, wake up at 7. Do you want to be 2 hours before average? Perfect, wake up at 6. So like, you really have to decide how much better than average you want to be, and then you got to be disciplined to actually do it. You know, I made the decision 5:30. 5:30 is my number. I don't know why, I just like it. So alarm goes off at 5:30, 5:32, 5:35, and I'm up. Like, let's go. And so I don't know what it is that gets me going, but you just got to have it sometimes.
Right.
Well, I notice you keep circling back to, you know, the information and the people. And that's one of the things we talk about most on the show. Is like, you know, the entire point of Mind Flux is to create independent thinkers, like to think independently, to change your mind, to just introduce a new perspective, to introduce some new thoughts. And so when people hear, like, in quotes, the information, you know, they wonder, what information is that? You know, how's that in sync with all these high level people? And, you know, to my observation, and tell me if you agree or disagree, but, you know, that information is not only how to think in terms of, you know, independently or creatively or with gratitude, but also the practical steps of what to do to maintain that level of thinking. Oh no, it froze. There we go. Did you hear that last part?
Yeah, maintain that level of thinking.
Yeah. And so when we have those two things coming together, it's not really a secret. This information, like, there's no secret. It's just the ability inside your mind to go back and think. We're the only animals who can think like this, you know? So when you're going around the world, that leads me to this question. You know, when you're going around the world, you're going to these conferences, you're exposed to, you know, thousands, tens of thousands of stories a month, you know, through people. You can just see them when you're in the crowd, or see them through your camera. You see, what you end up seeing is patterns. You know, everything is having, you know, that pattern. That's where I'm going with this. You know, what are some of the patterns that you're noticing in people our age who do show up to these events with 40-year-olds, and some of the patterns in people that you guys are, you know, directly mentoring, that are people that you just look at them and they carry this pattern or this aura or this energy or whatever it is. Everybody sees it, you know, that, you know, this is it. These people are going to make it, and these people have a little bit more work to do. What is that for you? Are you noticing a shift, basically, is what I'm asking?
Yeah, it's a great question. The answer that comes to mind is they need validation. They want you to tell them what you think they should do, and that's good enough for them. Meaning, if you tell me to read a book, I know I need to read the book, right? I know I need to go to the webinars. I know I need to listen to the audios. But if you tell me or you suggest that to me, I'm more likely going to accept the idea, because like, you're giving me validation that that's the right thing to do. So what I'm seeing with most of the people is they need validation. They need their hand held. They need the video sent to them. They need the books purchased and mailed to them. They won't take initiative. And that's what I think sets people apart, are the people that do take initiative, that do buy the books, that do listen to the authors without being asked, without being motivated, without having, that external force to, motivate them. They need validation. And, it's interesting. Some people will go back to the same seminar 7, 8, 9, 10 times, and it's the same information. It's the same PowerPoint. It's the same everything. Why you keep going back? It's because you're still seeking that validation that it's okay. Go and do it. You can do it. So sometimes people are seminar junkies because they won't apply it, and they continually need validation from somebody else.
For sure.
Gosh, that was a good answer too.
Yeah,
that was a good answer.
I agree with that. So for you, how did you even get started? When did you first pick up a camera? Like, what made you pick up a camera and say, okay, this is it?
I was in high school, and we were at the high school football game. My friend had a DSLR. I've only had iPhones up until then, right? So he sat there and he pressed the shutter and went, and I go, what'd you just do? He's like, I took 8 images. I said, you took 8 images that day? He's like, yes, look. And he showed me. And the ability to freeze a moment and then stare at it and relook at it and relook at it, that sold me. So from there, I bought a camera. I was like, all right, let's go. I want to freeze moments. I want to relive experiences. Started as a hobby, started in sports in high school, and I just kept it around with me. Now I travel the world because of it. That's how I started. Yeah, just as a hobby and always having it with me. You need a new profile picture, bro? I got you. You need a new Instagram post? I got you. That's how it happened.
Got you. So we talked to a guest about this, who kind of stumbled across, some people would consider a golden ticket, right? But it's not always gold. Like, obviously you have ups and downs in that. Like, you still make decisions. Like, it's not just all, peaches and cream, right? It's not like you picked up a camera and then the next day you were traveling the world, right? You could have had lost equipment, stolen equipment, broken equipment, lost images. I mean, you could have had those moments where you feel like it's the end of the world. Holy crap, this isn't working, or something's not going on. And once you've been, I guess you could say, exposed to that ability to think, for yourself, so that is reduced. But since you started with your camera in high school and you're in the position you're in now, it's taken you, what is now 5 years to get where you are now. What have some of those, learning moments been? Failure moments, those learning moments where you're scrambling, oh snap, I don't know how I'm going to do this. Because some people, when they're going to look at your Instagram and see the locations you're tagging and see the people you're tagging and see the high level, they create an image of you that is unrealistic. They create an image of you that, that's perfect. Right. So where have those, imperfections been?
Another great question. There's imperfections in everything, right? There's imperfections and there's negative things in everything. What I've been able to do and fortunate to do is identify them early and reverse them before they get too big. So I could see, something's not, and that's all in awareness. So I've been super aware at a very young age. So because I've been developed and aware, I'm able to, kind of pick out things and change things before they expand into something worse. I can honestly say that I can't think of one big blow up, one mistake, broken this, lost that. I really can't. And I've been asked this question before, which is interesting. And this is the same answer. It's I don't have one. I really don't. Small things will happen, but it's how quickly you can, become aware of them, change something to kind of not let it escalate. Yeah, we have problems. We have super small things, but nothing's expanded. Nothing's gone crazy.
And I think it's important to note that that's because you put a cap on it before it, blows over. It's kind of like the Mentos and Coke thing, right? Or Mentos and Pepsi or Diet Coke, however it works, right? You drop a little bit and watch it explode, and then they think it's funny to drop more. But if you cap that so nothing can go back in, then, you're good to go. It's just using a figurative analogy. But that's that's the level of thinking of the guests that we have on this show. Those are the people. That's exactly why we want you to share this story and this journey that you're on as we go through, because the importance of thinking that you're 24 years old, and we have guests we have listeners who are older than that. We have some that are way younger than that, but the age gap is still very small between our audience. And to think that in just 5 years, which 5 years is a very short time, think of how fast high school went by, or for anybody listening who's went through college, think of how fast college went by. 5 years is very short, and you're living a life that, you know, you love and other people love to look at because they would love it for themselves. And it's just so incredible to know that your independent thinking, your ability to assess your own life in situations is what's maintaining that path. And it's just a testament to everything that we do.
That's exactly it, bro. Right, 100%.
Definitely. So what does a normal day look like for you?
Bro, I work. If we're not on tour, it's heavy work. It really is. I wake up early, gym, sauna, and then something to eat early, get everything started. Affirmations are great. Gratitude is amazing if you're on the negative side of things. Like if you need to get on the right side of things before you start your day, then great. Do some affirmations, do some gratitude to get your mind right before you start. If you wake up and you're kind of vibing, feeling good, just keep it going. Just, know you're feeling good. I read at the end of the day. So there's always about 30 minutes of reading in the day, but we work, bro. I'm in front of my computer, no lie, 6 to 8 hours a day. I do research on like what's happening in the industry, who's peaking, who's not, what's popping, what's happening, and just try to get things going for the day. On tour, it's different, bro. Tour life's crazy. Like it's tour life.
Yeah.
When I was younger, I could probably give more advice when I was younger, bro. When I was younger, I would do this thing called 8 at 8. And it was a CD series that I would listen to, and there was 12 CDs, and I would listen to CD 8 at 8 a.m. every day. So from 8 a.m., 9, 10, 11, 12, I would listen to CDs 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And it was some of the best information you could find. But all I was doing was reprogramming myself over and over and over. You do it for a month, you just listen to that 30 times.
Mm-hmm.
So I would do that, and I would literally program myself through repetition over and over and over again. And that's really, I implemented that into your daily work. Even if you're working, you're still listening. Even if you're doing, you can still hear something else. So I would always listen to content, always try to be, involved in the information. A little bit of reading, try to stay off social media, bro. For real, I try to do. But that's it, really simple. Mastering the basics, getting really, really good. The jack of all trades is the master of none. So I've really learned that I don't want to be really good at a lot of things. I want to master 1 or 2 things and get super good at those 1 or 2 things. So it's really honing in on those skills every day.
Gotcha. And so I found something very interesting that I want to ask you a question about that I see through your stories. I think it's like when you wake up in the morning, you're like waking up out of simulation. Like, what does that mean? Like, what does that mean?
Have you gotten into Abraham Hicks at all?
I have not.
No. One book changed my life. It's called Ask and It Is Given by Jerry and Esther Hicks. I agree with 99.999% of that book. That book opened the floodgates to the law of attraction for me. I found that book before I found The Secret, before I found Think and Grow Rich, before I found Law of Success. What Abraham Hicks teaches is that this is a vortex. Like there's different dimensions, there's a vortex, things like that. And, we're not physical. It's tough. I don't know what level the listeners are on this, but like we're not physical. You say like my hand, my body, my name. Okay, who is my, right? Your soul, your spiritual soul living in a physical body. Okay, great. So we take the whole physical aspect of things out. You take away the physical phone, the physical body, the physical world. You're left with the spiritual world. You're left with dimensions. You're left with the vortex and things like that. So what I've learned through research, what I've learned through the information is, this that we experience isn't physical. It's not saying it's not real, because it is real, but real according to what? So this whole thing for me is a simulation. I think like I see through my eyes. Like I'm not looking, I'm seeing through my eyes, and I'm like experiencing this happening. Everything is happening around us, and I'm just experiencing it happening. So like this is all a simulation. This is all a happening, and we're just experiencing it through, through Joshua, through Tristan, through Matt, through different entities, through different humans, through different vehicles and stuff.
Yeah.
not many people understand it. I still don't understand it. I won't lie. I just say I really don't fully understand it, but I'm still learning about it. But I know it's true. I have this feeling inside of me that when I say things like that, like I get clarification. I get like, you're on the right track, kid, kind of feeling.
Your own
Yeah,
validation.
you need it. But see, I get my validation from the spiritual world, which is, a different source.
Right.
But no, we all do need validation, of course.
And don't the thing is, we can, because we're watching your face too while you're trying to navigate how can I communicate the words, and that's the thing about communication is, with information on what we feel versus the vocabulary which we or other people can interpret or express is like totally different. So A, don't worry about that. B, don't muffle the music. What you're talking about right now is something we'd love to dive deeper into for our listeners, but I want to kind of break it down in a way that'll make it a little bit easier for them to understand, because this is a concept we think about constantly of what's going on, but other people think about this too. We had a guest on the show. His name is Samson. He has a brand, Through Two Eyes, and his whole thing is about the perspective. It's literally like living like I'm seeing through my eyes. And there's other people we've had on the show too who have dropped little hints of knowledge that they're on that same path. So it's not that what you're saying or how you're saying anything is incorrect. So don't worry about trying to navigate. Just say it. And the reason why I say that is, for our listeners to break down what Matt's talking about. There's so much that happens around us in our brain right now. So like if you're listening to this podcast, you have our audio, your eyes are likely open, you're walking around, you can feel your clothes on you. Maybe you ate something good for lunch or breakfast. You can feel your stomach. You're feeling all the time. Your body is loaded. That's why float tanks are so effective. You get in and you block out all these sensations, all these abilities to think, and you start to really feel exactly, what your brain would like to, exactly what your body, kind of needs to. And what for some people, when they go in, for example, float tanks, they have these very vivid thoughts because they're just cutting out all the noise. That's all that's happening. They're cutting out all the noise from these different worlds, right? These different sound waves, these different light waves, right? These different energy fields touching our skin, and allows them to truly think for the first time. And that's really one of the things that I feel like you're talking about, is the ability to think, the energy of thought, And I wanted to break that down for our listeners and to make it more bite-sized of, when you wake up in the morning and you say, you're talking about simulation, and you're talking about the idea of spirit in these different planes, is that once you have started to have those, thoughts on your own, once you've reached that place in your mind, you start to be really comfortable with it. Now it's time to try to find a way to voice it so other people can get comfortable with it. It is a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful sense of validation when that happens too, because you realize so much about yourself. And I just wanted to break that down for our listeners to make that a little bit, hopefully a little bit more simple on what I think you're trying to express.
Yeah, 100%. That's a great explanation of it.
And
Go ahead. I say one thing I guess I could kind of add to that is, have you ever heard of Alan Watts or any of Alan Watts' stuff?
Mm-mm.
What is he? What is some?
He's on YouTube, just some seminars and stuff. Again, super spiritual side of things, but he teaches this concept, and again, it hits that centerpiece that just resonates with you, and that's like that knowingness. In an audio called The Real You on YouTube, it's like 7 minutes long. He says, we are all the universe experiencing itself through different mediums. In the same way, a wave is something the entire ocean is doing. So the way a wave interacts with the ocean, we interact with the universe. And that brought so much clarity to me, because you can relate to it. Yeah. So now I'm sitting here like, okay, we're all connected. We're all the universe. We're all the same thing, experiencing ourselves through different, through Josh's perspective, through Tristan's perspective, through my experience. And so it's okay. So we're all the same. So what makes us all different? So why can one person live a better life than somebody else? It's becoming aware of that fact, number one. Number two, being like, okay, so I'm the universe experiencing myself. Do you want to be the good experience or the bad experience? You know, I choose to be a good experience for the universe to live through. So I allowed something I've really been into lately is the art of allowing, the law of allowing. Um, Kind of goes back to a little bit what you were saying earlier about like calmness of mind is one of the beautiful jewels of life. When you can calm down, when you can, you know, release from the physical world and get in tune with the internal spiritual world, you hear things a lot clearer. You know, the voice messages coming in are amplified and you can hear clearer, which is kind of interesting. You're saying there's a lot of the physical energies that are around you that you feel and stuff. With the music industry, this is kind of switching things, but I listen to one thing called the miracle tone. It's the solfeggio frequencies. I'm not saying that right, but they're the frequency resonances that vibrate at a certain hertz, right? And so music vibrates at 440 hertz, but was discovered that the miracle tone or the heartbeat of the universe is at 432 hertz. So music programs us at 430, where you know we're supposed to be at 432. So there's audios you can listen to on YouTube that I listen to all day, every day when I sleep, everything called miracle tone. And it's a vibration that you listen to get your body at that equal playing field. It allows you to manifest faster, manifest clearer. It's one thing I highly recommend all listeners to check out. 432 hertz.
I'm taking notes. So if the listeners aren't writing this down, you said miracle tone. You said, what did the YouTube video, The Entire You by Alan?
The Real You.
Really?
Alan Watts, ALANWATTS.
And the thing that I want to clarify too for our listeners, this is not we're not sharing an idea right now. We're sharing a simple fact that science has proven. For example, sound is waves. You just clarified in hertz, right? Why can a dog hear a whistle? We can't. You know, there's literally dog whistles that we can't hear and they can hear. Why can birds or other animals or bats see while being blind, right? Basically, because of sound, the way the sound waves travel, right? So literally, if you can see while you're blind, and what we have is when some people have what some people would consider a disability, like being blind, they actually have an ability to do things other human beings can't, right? And so you can tie that same thing into the physical world. You know, why does this fabric feel good to you or that fabric feel bad? There's somebody in their underwear behind you. Why does that feel? That's funny. Why does the sound good or bad, right? The dog likes this whistle. The dog comes to this whistle. The dog comes to this sound. We don't even hear it. The same thing can go for the sound that bats use to travel. The same thing can go for his polyester shirt and my cotton shirt. Why, you know, when we put this statement on good or bad, there's a fish in the bottom of the ocean. We know light travels in waves too, right? Light has a frequency just like sound. There's a fish that can see like 500 more colors than we can. Can you even imagine light rays of 500 more colors? It's very easy to look at it practically. Look at a TV from the 70s and look at your Mac 4K display now. The ability to display color as if it is real is totally night and day, right? We're talking about hundreds of pixels and tens of thousands of pixels. This is science. This is real. And I want to clarify that with all of our listeners and everybody who's going to come across this until the end of time, that this is a fact. And when you can start to separate yourself, or not even separate yourself, search for a higher frequency of sound. How can I hear some things that other people can't hear? This is average. I want to hear more, just like you were saying about waking up early. When it comes to clothes, right? There's materials that are more expensive for a reason. They feel different, create a different energy, right? When it comes to colors and vivid imagery and imagination, imagining in full color. Like, think about people you've only seen in black and white, right? Think of something like old images from the 30s. can you look at that and imagine it in color? We have technology that can reverse that now, but look at it and think about what that really looks like. And that ability to go inside your mind and create that energy, create those energy waves of color, create those energy waves of sound, of what you want things to sound like, to go to that place is a whole new level of thinking. Mm-hmm. And I was wanting to clarify on basically to our listeners that what you are bringing to the table is not an idea. It's a fact, and we know this. And that's all the different ways we can prove it right there. To just validate, to back to that word. And that's probably going to be the name of this episode. To just validate exactly what you're saying is this is not something that's fun to play with. This is a fact. And when you take that fact and apply it to your mind, it's no longer fun. It's literally, I mean, obviously it is fun, but it's some other word that comes into action. You know what I mean? It changes your life. That will change your life, adopting that level of thinking that there is so much more than we can even see. So we have to pursue it.
We're talking facts. We're talking, if you've been listening for the past 35 minutes, I would tune in right now. This is the notebook of like the real deal. And this is the scientific fact. You cannot debate this. First sentence, the electron is the beginning of everything of a physical nature. Particles of matter, known as atoms, revolve in a continuous circuit made up of electrons. Everything is a collection of electrons. Everything is a collection of electrons. Every particle of physical matter is in a continuous state of highly motion. Nothing is ever still. Law of vibration. Everything moves, nothing rests. Here's the kicker. Elements of the universe, physical elements of the universe, differ from one another by the number of electrons composing their atoms and the number and arrangement of those atoms in each element. Meaning, what differentiates the phone from the water bottle is the number of atoms. What differentiates the pen, the battery, the number of atoms. Everything is electrons, everything is atoms. It's the makeup, the arrangement, and the number of electrons that make things different. That's it. Scientifically proven that the electron is the beginning of everything of physical matter.
Exactly. And so when we start off with a simple question like, you know, what is the day like for Matt traveling all over the world? And as people see it on Instagram, people, you know, see all these things. There's that super simple, you know, answer of I've worked really hard and I've stayed really positive. But there's a whole new level of factual information that like you were literally made up of the same thing as another human being. Yeah. Therefore, that any other human being could be living the same experience that you are.
Bingo.
And that is what we're trying to get people to understand is that like thinking independently and putting yourself in that mind frame of if another human being is taking a breath in this state that I think is so cool, I should be able and I can utter that same breath. I can be in Bali or Dubai. I can do all these things. It's not on another planet. It's right here. We're not asking to go out of outer space. It's right here. You don't need an oxygen mask or anything. We were made to do this. Literally. We're like, and it's just a tremendous sense of gratitude, you know, when you have thank you on your shirt, right? Every day at the bottom of my journal, I just write thank you because it's like I'm grateful for so many things. I would run out of paper and I wouldn't be able to journal. I'm just writing thank you. I every night I write thank you, I love you, good night. I don't even know who I'm saying when I say thank you, I love you, good night, but I put it at the bottom of every single journal. And it's really refreshing, you know, to take this level of thinking back, you know, bring this into an episode as well and have our listeners have something to chew on, you know, to really like a thought marinade, like, like really just chew on this because this concept in one moment can change somebody's life.
Yep. And it's crazy. So I just had a thought, like they literally teach all this in like high school, like in science, but like in a different path. Like, that's what I've come to realize, like, especially like reading these books and all these things about this topic is like, they literally taught these same principles to us growing up in school, but they never really taught it in a way that we can apply it into our life to create what we want.
Right.
You know what I think it is? I think when they teach us those principles of energy, they're teaching us how to grasp it so it can serve us instead of teaching us how to serve it.
Wow.
Knowing that it'll come tenfold. They don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing. It's just like money. You know, it's not what is it? Love money and use people, right? It's use money and love people,
mm-hmm.
right? It's the same thing for energy. We're trying to grasp it and put it in a box and have it serve us in some way. iPhone,
right?
Pen, right? You had the pen, battery, coffee cup. We're trying to harness it and serve it in this way, and we can see the effects of that. You know, we have, and that can go to a whole different level. We can see the effects in the political game when we try to harness voice and communication. That ability, that energy, we can see it in the physical when we try to plastics and other things. Like, dude, what you said is spot on. Like that's really it. It's two levels of thinking about the exact same thing, but one creates a totally different outcomes.
You said it. Yeah. The same thing, but two completely different spectrums. And like rich and poor, the difference between the wealthy and the poor people is access to information. Wealthy people have access to information that poor people don't have. It's just the truth. And you're saying school, I'm not saying the teachers are poor, but maybe poor in mindset, right? So they teach the books, right? They teach the textbooks, but they don't know the depths of it. So their access to information is just the superficial, what the book says. Now we have been, mentors, other books, other resources have been exposed to different information. Our level of awareness is higher. Our level of information is higher. So therefore we know something that they don't know. I don't know if I don't agree with it. It is what it is. Like wealthy people know stuff that poor people don't know.
Right. And people who know, who have this thought without money are still genuinely usually happier. Because like money doesn't mean you'll have the information to feel this way about your life. Money means you'll have access to the ability. You could have better access. But then people who are, for example, broke, not poor, but broke, could still think this way and feel this way and start to attract the thing that they need. And that takes it to a whole nother level of if we're no longer taking the energy so it can, trying to box it so it can serve us, instead if we're serving to the energy, right? Like we're grateful for it, we accept it, and we push it right back out. What's going to happen? We're going to keep getting filled and filled. And so if we're searching for money, that's how it attracts to you. If you're searching for fitness, that's how it attracts to you. If you're searching for that piece of content that you can't manufacture, it's a moment in time that was made for you, you are going to attract that the more that you visualize it, because you are creating energy at such a higher frequency and putting yourself at the opportunity to catch it. And it's like, it's just like, this is like the stuff, like this is it. This is it. There's so many things we talk about on this show. This is it. When you see that and you think that and you apply it to your own life, you will never be the same. Like people ask you probably every day, they DM you, how can I do what you do? You've probably got hundreds, if not thousands. Josh, myself, every one of our guests. And there's there's the half answer of, well, you can do XYZ because that is fact. Like XYZ action gave me experience to get this. But there's also like a level of thinking. Like, can you even, not in a bad way, but can you even interpret what XYZ is? Have you internalized with yourself to accept XYZ is true? One of my favorite coaches, Myron Golden, said like the truth is understood at the level. If the truth is met at the level it can be understood. When Josh how many times have you read Think and Grow Rich in the past 60 days, 30 days?
I just read it. I read it 3 times. I just started over yesterday, so I'm reading over again for the next 2 months.
Right, and you'll probably read it 6 times by the end of this. The same book,
and I listen to audio every single day, so I just
the same book, the same information. But his level and experience is going to continue pushing that boundary of accepting what is true.
Amazing. Law of vibration states nothing stays the same. So if Josh doesn't continually going forward with it, he'll go backwards. And he won't say he's going backwards. He'll say, oh, I'm staying the same. Nothing stays the same. So that's why it's so important to continually choose to keep advancing. The kicker is the choice. You can choose the information. You're around the information. You can get the information. Do you do anything about it? Do you apply it? Are you disciplined? 4 times reading the same book, that's discipline. You made the decision and you're disciplined to do it. People just sometimes don't make the choice to do that. That's on them.
Yep.
But I think it hits everybody eventually. I mean, just like you said, the levels of people at the seminars, 30, 40, 50-year-olds who are getting hit with this, I need to change my life, right? Some people consider that a midlife crisis. I could not consider that a midlife crisis, when people hit that 40 or 50 and they totally change their ways or anything gets flipped around. It's just a new level of understanding about themselves or what they're here for. And I was listening to a podcast and this is scientific fact as well. When Darren said, when he was on our show, when you change what you're looking at changes. Well, the chemistry in our bodies changes too. As we get older, we lose testosterone. Women go into menopause, different things, right? When you hit these age groups, these same age groups that you're talking about. So chemically, our body becomes a new thing. Literally, we become new creatures. Yep. Some people lose the ability to reproduce. And what is life after reproduction? Every single living thing is meant to reproduce. Trees do it by themselves. Birds do it by themselves. We do it naturally. Like, I'm sure at 18, if you put me with another 18-year-old girl and I'd never seen a girl in my life, I would know what to do to make life. It's happened. It happens. And so because of this strive in nature, what is life 50 years after you can't recreate? It's this new level of giving back that energy we're talking about to the world that is literally forced upon us. And so people may call it a midlife crisis because there's all these ways to try to deal with that energy. And try to expend that energy, whether it be going to casinos or going to clubs, because everybody's seen a 40-year-old in the club. To change that energy feeling in their body, they're trying to look for that way to express it. And if they think their way into that result, it totally will change everything. And dude, I feel like I'm having a paradigm shift right now. I feel like I'm in like a totally different experience right now because of that. Like, it's just crazy. That's just crazy to me.
Dang, we
that's neat.
I think a lot of our listeners, they're going to have to really, I think they're going to have to listen to this. If they're just getting introduced to this information, they'll have to listen to it a couple more times. And I encourage them to reach out to us, or we're also going to plug you in your social media, all that. Reach out to Matt and ask him questions about this information, because it takes a while to really truly understand it. You got to break it down and apply it to how it's going to work in your life. But once you do understand it, it can really change your life. And like I said earlier, we've been taught these principles all of our life, but we never thought about it in this specific way to purely create our ideal lifestyle. So yeah, I mean, we can go on all day, but
well, two closing thoughts. This information applies to everything throughout your day, through every situation, every person, every experience. The information can apply. Mm-hmm. So that's why it's so important, because you apply it to anything and everything throughout your entire day.
Yep.
One last concept, and I'll never forget this. I was with Bob. We were flying from Toronto to California. It was a 4.5-hour flight on his jet. And I was 19 at the time. Just got introduced to the laws of the universe. And I was sitting there and my thing was writing out the laws of the universe every day for 30 days. So I was sitting there writing these out. Sitting there, and he comes over and he's over my shoulder. And he's like, "What are you doing, kid?" And I'm writing down the laws of the universe. And he looked at me, and I will never forget this. He looked at me and said, "If you master the laws, you master your life," and walked away. From that point forward, I took the law seriously. I kept writing them. And so that's what I say to the listeners. There are 7 natural laws of the universe. You can Google them. There's a website called Path to Enlightenment that has a really good description of each of them. They apply to everything and they will change your life, right? Law of gravity, right? It's here without us knowing. It's happening regardless. So there's 7 natural laws that happen regardless in this world, whether you know about them or not. So you need to master the laws, become aware of them, abide by the laws. They weren't created by man, so they can't be changed by man. We can't change the laws. We have to abide with the laws and live in harmony with the laws. That is worth gold.
Yeah.
I'll leave you like
Worth
that's
more.
it.
You can't put a price on it, because look at the ripple effect of the life that's changed. If Bob could tell you that, Bob is now what,
85.
84, 85? Okay. This man was jumping off stages at 80 years old when you were at his events. I'm sure, and
he's crazy.
Yeah, like at 80 years old. My grandpa is 80 years old, and he's nearly died twice in my lifetime. You know what I mean? Like some people, the average American man, I think, lives to like 82 now or 74. I don't even know, but it's there, right? He's past average already, but look at what he's doing, right? Compared, and you can see that, and I use him as an example for that to tie it back to what you just said. It's worth more than that, because here's a man who thinks on that level, who at what some people would consider an old age has 19-year-old people on his jet at same level of like frequency or thinking that he's changing, and that's going to go in generation after generation after generation as a ripple effect, as just a vehicle for energy. And it's worth more than gold. It is gold, but it's worth more than gold. Like there's not even words in my English dictionary in my head that I can use to describe the value on that. For our listeners, anybody listening to what we've talked about on this, seriously, just like Josh said, you've got to replay this and do exactly what Matt said. You can look them up. You can look up the 7 laws, and there's no way you're going to be able to find those 7 laws and think that any single one of them does not apply to something in your life. It's literally impossible. Just like the science we learned. Mm-hmm. And so you said you had 2 closing thoughts. Was the second one tied in there, and I just it went over even my head? Or is there a second
There's a second one
that you're just about to totally flux my mind, for lack of a better phrase?
No, you touched on it earlier, and it's just giving more clarification to it. It's your higher faculties. Your higher faculties are what make you different from every animal in the kingdom, right? We can see, or not see, we have intuition, perception, will, memory, intuition, reason, right? Our higher faculties make us different. Your imagination, you can think, you're intuitive, right? You have free will, you can choose things. So if you didn't know, you have higher faculties. And what Bob said is shut down your senses. Stop living through your eyes, ears, what you hear, smell, taste, and touch. Get past that. Tap into your higher faculties and live from your higher faculties. That's a great concept.
Yeah, that's why the float tanks are so effective. I was watching a video of a famous mathematician, Eric. It's Weinstein or Weinstein. He's literally a genius, and he's a mathematician. But math numbers are a language for us to interpret the physical universe that we can't see. Right. So that's literally how we interpret lights, a wave, or sound, or all these things. It's in numbers. It's a language. And there are levels of that language that we don't uncover. Right. That's what Einstein is famous for uncovering a new level of the language. That's what makes a nuclear bomb so powerful, is that level of the language allows us to take energy and move it around. And it comes down to, the communication of that language, your frequency. That's why a float tank can be so powerful for all of our listeners. There's a float tank in your city pretty much, or within 2 hours away. Every major city has wellness centers that have these. I personally have not done them, but I know what they scientifically do. And I can't wait to get in one, because you're shutting off all your senses. And it just keeps coming back up that I need to do this thing. But you're shutting off all your senses that we know are bringing that information, that distraction from clear thought, from clear independent thought in. Everything else is a distraction. Everything else is a simulation, right?
That's it. There you go. That's it. Yeah.
Also, for our listeners, our viewers, people watching this, what are you using for your teeth whitening?
Okay, I'll give you the goods.
They match the shirt, the AirPods, the counter, the wall in the back. What's the secret?
3D brilliance.
3D.
I need to get endorsed by them. They're the only toothpaste that actually changes your teeth whiter.
Okay.
No Crest, no Colgate, none of that. It has to be Brilliance. It has to be 3D. It is super expensive, but it is worth it.
Hey, invest in yourself, man.
That's it. Let's
I
go.
mean,
You're the best
that
of
was
us.
the whole time, but the whole conversation was like, there's no way I can ad lib a teeth
Dude,
white
I'm crying.
there. We should give him to sponsor this episode and see if it just blows people's minds with it.
Yep.
Yeah. Awesome, guys. Really appreciate your time. And, any other viewers, any questions you have, feel free to reach out. I'm very responsive on social media. We love to hear you guys' feedback, comments, questions, open up more conversation, help more people.
Yeah. What's your handle? What's your handle so people can find you?
At Mateo Grybel, MateoGribly. Should be on the screen. Perfect.
Okay.
Let's get connected.
Awesome. All right. Wow. So now after all this mind-blowing stuff, we go back in the studio and close out to some of our final thoughts. So guys, you gotta follow him.
Yep.
You gotta DM him. You gotta watch his stories and understand that if there is a life that you're living and you're wanting to tap into more, it's there.
Mm-hmm.
We know it's there in sound, in sight, in touch. But if it's a feeling, that's there too. And thank you so much for getting on here and sharing, some of that with our listeners, because I know that this episode alone is going to do so much for so many people and just heightening that level of awareness to where they do feel comfortable to ask and get that validation of, when you said this, did you mean this? When you say yes, they're like, awesome. Now they can continue that thought and think for themselves. And I think this is so important because it gives people the confidence to do that. So thank you, man.
My pleasure.
Thank you. You got any closing thoughts before we end the recording?
Nah, man, I'm excited. That was amazing.
Awesome. Well, then we will see you guys in the studio. And we're back. So, dude, that literally blew my mind. Like, everything we talked about, from energy to gratitude, the only thing that can come to my mind, like, is the validation that he talked about people wanting to confirm what they're thinking. And that's why I was taking notes during the episode, because I felt like it's been confirming what the whole show is about. And it's no coincidence that one of our best episodes with Darren Gibson, and who had the same mentor, who had the same circle, that Matt comes in with the same energy and literally just blows it away with pearly white teeth. That was crazy. So, we have a ton of takeaways, but do you have any massive ones that you can think of off the top of your head?
The biggest one I can think of in general is just like the repetition and habit that he's on a consistent basis, like, worked on to get to that type of mindset, to get to that point, to get to that belief level, and the different concepts that we talked about. Because he put out his notebook, like, flipping through the pages, like, he has a bunch of writing in there of passages and thoughts and all these different things over the course of the years. And it shows when you're that consistent, and it shows when you're truly dedicating time to learn and gain knowledge. And there's no question of why he is where he is now.
Yeah, none at all. And the consistency, like you said, but one of the things he said, you just said on our last episode, he said, like, I refuse to be average, like, my fear of being average. And like, he just accepted that he's different. And for our listeners, like, that is something that every single person can accept. It's not a pedestal thing. It's kind of like, once you accept that in yourself, you literally become unstoppable. And when you apply those different thoughts, those different laws that Matt talked about, you can see a drastic change in your life, in your relationships, in the passion you're pursuing, in everything. And for me, one of the biggest things on there, one of the things that he validated is when we were talking about, like, energy, right? And he said, both of you guys, we already learn about this stuff. We talk about this stuff. It's just the way we learn about it is different, or the way we apply it is different. And that epiphany moment, and I was like, hey, wait, I think I figured it out. Mm-hmm. We're trying to, in the classroom, they're taking that energy to figure out how it can serve us. Mm-hmm. But this whole other side of the world, this woke or awake inside is taking that energy to serve other people, and just it'll come back. It's just like waves. The waves crash and then another one rolls in, and for some people waves crashing is a terrifying thing, and for other people it's everything like blissful, peaceful. People go to the beach to relax, other people are terrified to be on the water. So for me, like it validated everything that I've been thinking of, like when I try to sit and think positively, and I know a lot of our guests could probably relate to this, is sitting and thinking positively, like, I hope this works for so-and-so, and I hope this works for myself, or whatever. I tweeted this a couple weeks ago. There comes a time where you look at your relationships and you wonder, do you want them to go well to serve them in the relationship, or do you want them to go well to serve you? And having that reverse engineered thinking of really to serve them and those other things is going to take care of you. And it just kind of validated that thought. So I mean, Matt crushed it. He crushed it. He sparked a conversation that I think a lot of people are ready to have, and his audience, I think, is gonna really enjoy everything too. Because just on us putting on the stories about it, we've seen some tremendous growth. So, any last thoughts about it?
No. Shout out to Matt.
Shout out to Matt, man. Shout out to Matt. All right, guys. Email us at mindfluxpodcast@gmail.com. So it's not actually at mindfluxpodcast. But anyways, mindfluxpodcast@gmail.com. And refer us a guest. Refer us guests like Matt, like Yadi, like Sharier, like Bria. I mean, we've had some incredible guests like Marcus. Send us the guests. Send us the people you guys want on the show, or tag us. You can follow us on social media everywhere at mindfluxed. So that's at MINDFLUXED. Benji's, he's out, he's 6, but audio is always brought, he's still gonna mix it. Audio is always brought by at Benji Got Beats. We got Jasleen over there. I already forgot her username, Trilla Kerr, something like that. We said it on episode 24, so you guys can get it there. I'm one of your hosts at TParmTeach, and Josh?
Find me at iam.jmatt.
Bow. All right, guys, we'll see you next week.